cell layer, you have the internuclear layer, and then the outer nuclear layer down here. So the dark ones are the cells, and the light ones are the axons. And then what is this line right here? Yeah, and what is the external limiting membrane? That's what's dividing the photoreceptors. So the photoreceptor is in this outer nuclear layer, and the external limiting membrane is in the middle of there. What else is important? What's this up here? Right, so sometimes you'll see traction, right?
Yeah.
You'll see the vitreous coming up with vitreomacular traction. Just another same idea, but so again, what are these? What is this dark space? Well, which one is the ganglion cell layer? So if it's dark, is it cells or axons? Cells. And what are the three cell layers?
Ganglion cell layer.
Right. And what's the order? Ganglion cell layer, outer and internuclear layer. What's closest to the eyeball? Closest to the
Ganglion
inside?
cell.
Outer, inner, and then it's ganglion.
Ganglion cell layer.
Inner and then outer.
Exactly. So this dark one is the ganglion cell layer. Then we have the internuclear layer, and then the outer nuclear layer. And then what about the three brighter ones? What are those?
Those are fiber layer, inner flexible layer, and outer flexible layer.
Exactly. And same idea. So the RNFL is the top one, and then the inner plexiform and outer plexiform layers there. Okay, good. All right, and then just to review the individual layers here. So you have the bottom is the RPE, or Brooks. You have the interdigitation zone, the ellipsoid zone, and then, like we said, the external limiting membrane. So RPE, interdigitation, ellipsoid, ELM. And then we talked about the posterior face of the vitreous. All right, we already went through this. I'm not going to do that. Just the segmentation is very important. So just always inspect to make sure that the segmentation looks correct. This is the first time we're marking in the app about the segmentation. So see how I think sometimes it could be hard because what if we're only doing the segmentation in 4 quadrants, but maybe the segmentation is good for half of the quadrant, but not the other half. But what we want to try to understand is especially when we get the numbers, if the numbers are accurate. And the numbers are only accurate if the segmentation is good. But if you're having any problems, if it doesn't make sense or something, once you start collecting data, please let us know. All right, so anterior segment, we already talked about this. Scleral spur, Schlemm's canal, and Schwalbe zone. And then just as a reminder, the different, the numbers that come out, there is the AOD, that's the angle opening distance. It's just the distance from the cornea to the iris in a line. The AOD 500 is 500 microns from the scleral spur. Then we also have AOD 750, which is 750 microns, and then same thing though, same idea. And then the TISA is I forget, irido-scleral angle, something like that. It's the area in this area from 500, from the scleral spur to 500, that whole area. And then for TISA 750, it's the same idea, that whole area. And then it also gives the angle itself, just the angle. Those are the metrics that we're doing. All right. So this is just showing on a time domain OCT where you have an open angle here, and when you get narrow angle, it's kind of obvious on the OCT that this is closing off the angle. Right. Here you can see, for example, this I think is Schlemm's canal. So it means the scleral spur is probably down here.
Yeah.
So this is like closed. I mean, this is like angle closure. Here's an example where someone who had uveitis and they had a peripheral anterior synechiae, bringing the iris up. So there's kind of this iris sort of obliterating the ankle there. All right, and then let's go through some signs of diabetic retinopathy. So what you should be looking for, which layers of the retina should we be looking for diabetic retinopathy?
Mid-retina. Mid.
Mid-retina.
Yeah.
So we said AMD, you're looking like at the RPE level, right? But DR, you're looking for mid-retina. And so, yeah, so when you see sort of like a bright spot like this, what should you think? Like, what could this be?
It's either be hemorrhage or hemorrhage.
It could be heart anxiety or hemorrhage.
Yeah.
What about, could it just be, what do you think is, for example, like what is this? Is this a,
Broad vessels.
Smile.
yeah.
Broad
So
midnight.
just be careful because sometimes it might just be a blood vessel. And then what about this dark area here?
After effect.
Just shadowing,
Shadowing.
right? Shadowing from the blood vessel. So you'll still get shadowing under the under an exudate or a hemorrhage, but yeah, just don't overcall because obviously the blood vessels. How could you tell that this is a blood vessel?
It's not on the mid.
It is not in mid-retina.
But another easy way you can tell is just look at the scan.
Yeah.
So like over here you can see a big blood vessel, right?
Yeah.
And then that's like basically where this one is. Even there's more, like here there's a couple more blood vessels, right? That it makes sense like where this is cutting, there's some blood vessels.
So particularly from this skin, how can you differentiate hard exudates or it is hemorrhage?
I have a hard time with that, but sometimes you can get like here there looks like there's a little space. So that's probably fluid.
Yeah.
So that might make me think more of edema or like a hard exudate. Honestly, it doesn't really matter for our purposes. It's just recognizing an abnormality that's a bright spot in the retina. That's all we care about. But I think it's hard.
So we have to indicate that if there is a hemorrhage or if there is a hard exudate, small or blast. So we have to indicate in that app, no? That's
yeah,
all.
you can also look on the infrared image.